Did you hear those numbers? How can 80% of their mega centers, 10,000 square feet or larger, be in a Black and or Latino neighborhood unless they are deliberately targeting those women? It's unconscionable. And you are exactly right. Enough is enough. There is a legal and ethical expectation in most states that in most states a requirement that every woman facing an abortion will be given all the information she needs to make an informed consent to the procedure. We have learned over the years that Planned Parenthood doesn't bother with this requirement. Instead, they choose only to give information that will ensure the patient chooses abortion. Patricia Sandoval worked in a Planned Parenthood in Sacramento, California, and she can share with us firsthand how she was directed to target the Latinas entering that center. Patricia?
God bless everybody. Thank you. At the age of 12, in the 6th grade, Planned Parenthood came to my school to teach us the so-called safe sex education. My parents signed the permission slip, but they had no idea what they were signing, and they didn't seem too concerned. And they didn't fully comprehend this permission slip because they were Mexican immigrants and they didn't speak the English Spanish. The permission slip was not translated into Spanish, and I remember the permission slip being less than a paragraph long. So obviously this did not explain the information that would be given to the students in the 6th grade about the sexual education course. I remember that morning when I arrived at school, there was a banana sitting on my desk with a condom. We were instructed how to apply a condom on a male genital part, the banana representing the male genitalia. And I remember feeling a sense of shame and embarrassment as I was doing this. They spoke to us about the benefits of self-pleasure, the benefits of birth control, and that condoms protect you against unwanted pregnancies, and pornography was not harmful. You weren't doing anything to anybody else. This was called safe sex, a distorted concept of what relationships are truly about. The only thing they spoke to us was about how to protect the body and the genital area. Love was not mentioned during this course. The heart and the emotions were not mentioned as well. I guess waiting for Prince Charming and getting married for true love was not a reality. When I walked out of the class, the purity I once had in my mind was completely distorted. When Planned Parenthood walked out of their class, my class, they had guaranteed future clients, even future clients for possible abortions. Between the ages of 19 and 20, the so-called safe sex failed. I was practicing it, I thought. How did I become pregnant on 3 occasions? But abortion was always the solution for this problem. My body was my choice, my decision. I had 3 abortions, and before each abortion, I was told that it was just a sack of tissue, that it was the best option for me. I remember before one of the abortions, I wanted to see the screen of my ultrasound, and they would not let me see the screen. They asked me, why do you want to see the screen? And I said, because I want to see if there's a baby. And they said, it's a sack of tissue. It's nothing. Don't worry. This is the best thing for your life. The only post instructions I received was to take Tylenol for cramping. but they never told me the hellish nightmare I would live emotionally and mentally after an abortion. They never told me what post-abortion syndrome would do to my life, because this is exactly what they do not want to expose, the side effects of an abortion. I would have nightmares of children crying. I had deep depression, anxiety. I felt lost in life. I developed anorexia. I started pulling my hair out of frustration and developed a disorder called trichotillomania. All of a sudden, I had low self-esteem. I even had suicidal thoughts. My boyfriend would have nightmares at night saying, "Patricia, I dream of a baby saying, 'Father, Father, what's going on?'" My boyfriend was in depression. He had anxiety. He had anger bouts, crying bouts. I had crying bouts. And our relationship started to fall apart. He was also suffering post-abortion syndrome because we both had an abortion. Abortion is not only the mother who aborts, but it's also the father who has an abortion. It takes two to tango. It takes two for a pregnancy. It takes two for an abortion. We suffered post-abortion syndrome, and I never connected what was going on mentally and emotionally with the abortions because I didn't do anything wrong. After that, my relationship with my boyfriend fell apart. I moved away to Sacramento, California, and Planned Parenthood needed urgently a bilingual back office assistant. I had never gone to school for medical assisting. I only knew how to answer phone calls during my job as a receptionist. I called Planned Parenthood and offered maybe I could pick up the phones, maybe I could file some charts, but they actually hired me as a back office nurse with no credentials. So I was hired, and the pay was pretty high, the money was pretty good, and I noticed that the back office nurses were exactly my age, 20 years of age, and they had no credentials. And these were the people that I was supposed to follow and learn from. My duty was to counsel women, mostly in Spanish, because 90% of the women who had abortions in this clinic were Latinas and African American women. And most of the Latinas women did not know how to speak any English, so I had to counsel them. I noticed that on the first day, my manager was very nervous, and she takes me in this back office and she says, "Today you will counsel 50 women and prepare these 50 women for their abortions this week. You will never tell a soul what you see behind these doors. You will never use the word baby, he, she, mother, father, or even fetus, because that gives human dignity. You will never let a woman see her the screen of the ultrasound machine, because if she sees that screen, she might run out and not have an abortion. You will always call it an it and a sack of tissue." And I was confused. I didn't understand. But I counseled these women in Spanish mostly, and I noticed that the consent form was not translated into Spanish. It was an English consent form, and I didn't have the medical terminology to translate this information to these women in Spanish. I didn't even have the medical terminology in English. I didn't know what I was counseling. The only thing I would tell them was, "I had 3 abortions, I'm okay, and you will be okay." Planned Parenthood threatened my job. They said, "If these women do not show up to their appointment, you will lose your job." So I counseled these women, and these women would sign these consent forms, not fully understanding what they were signing. I don't recall a physician, an abortionist, ever asking me to interpret and to explain to a woman what they should expect during and after an abortion. The only thing the physicians would tell me is, "Patricia, we have 5 minutes, and 5 minutes is money. So we need to get these abortions done 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes." During my work there, it was a holocaust. It is literally one step before entering hell. It is a manslaughtering factory operation. A lot of youth, 13 to 17 was probably the numbers that I would see, the age range that I would see at Planned Parenthood. I was told one day by my manager, Patricia, you will today work in the back hidden room that we have, and you will never tell a mother or a father that we throw their babies away in the garbage after each abortion. And you will never tell anybody what you see here. And it was that. The first abortion I assisted, it was a nightmare. The woman would scream. I would see women fainting in the hallways. I remember seeing a couple of African American women being dragged down the halls. They never called an ambulance. They never helped them. In reality, they would send them home. And I had to actually look for the body parts of the babies. The first time I thought I would see a sack of tissue, I thought I would look for a sack of tissue. But when I saw hands, feet, and faces with the mouths wide open as if these children were screaming for their lives and they had no one to defend them because they were completely voiceless. After working in Planned Parenthood, it was traumatizing for me. I only worked for 1 month because I suffered 3 abortions. I was a victim of Planned Parenthood in the 6th grade as a woman who had 3 abortions and as a worker. I was manipulated and I was deceived. I was a victim of Planned Parenthood in 3 occasions. They do not care about women, they don't care about the youth, and they kill human beings. I got deeply addicted to methamphetamine and cocaine, and I ended up as a homeless woman, lost on the streets. And if it were not by the grace of Jesus Christ and my mother's prayers, I wouldn't be here today. And today I'm here standing because I need to repair the damage I've done. And I'm here speaking in the name of all those Latino babies and all those African American babies who never had a voice. God bless everyone. And Psalms 9, 11, 12 say, God hears the cry of the innocent. God bless everyone.